Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Monkey Wrench. I'm Kelly, the monkey with the wrench. Today we've got a real short video. It's going to be on this Weed Eater model 300 with a Briggs on it. Now for those of you that don't know, Weed Eater orders their stuff from the same places, other Walmart brands, Troy Built, stuff like that. So the brand has nothing to do with the motor. They're all Briggs motors. This is an old school, it's actually a 3.5 horse motor, and it won't start. Customer says he's not sure why. It's been sitting for about 6 months, and he thought maybe the spark plug was bad, that kind of thing. So we're going to do the normal quick test to make sure everything is good and that she barks, and then I'm going to show you how to fix it. Before we get started, I want to say thanks to all my new subscribers. In the last week I've had 155 new subs. So those of you that watch my videos and join the family, I do appreciate it. If you haven't seen my videos before, you may watch other videos on YouTube, and in my opinion they waste a bit of time. They want to check compression, they want to check the spark, they want to check blah 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 blah. You can fix all that, bypass it, make it quick by doing one simple thing. When you pull it, if it doesn't start, take a look at the travel on your bail cable, make sure it's moving a good bit. Other than that, if she won't start, take a little bit of carb cleaner, carb spray, anything, shoot it right down into the carburetor, and it should start on the 3rd or 4th pull. Let me show you that now. This one may continue to run because I believe it just has a dirty carb. Now, if you've seen that, it started on the 3rd pull as expected. It ran for maybe 2 seconds and then it died. That tells me that it has compression, that it has spark, and that the motor sounds good. So in this case, what happened was the guy put it away last winter, hasn't used it in the last 5 or 6 months, and did not drain the engine out or run the carburetor dry. If you want to bypass this problem, when you're cutting your lawn for the last time in the season, let the mower run until it runs out of fuel. Just take some string, tie your bail cable, tie this in the down position. Just tie it like that and let the mower run until it runs out of gas. That will take any fuel out of the carburetor. It'll make everything clean and dry, and then there's nothing to go bad. Today's fuel has ethanol in it, and the ethanol goes bad after a few months, dirties up your carburetor, and there you go. So what I'm going to do now is take out this bolt on the front. We're going to remove the whole gas tank because the carburetor on this is bolted to the gas tank. We're going to clean it, and we're going to put new gasket in it, and the problem should be taken care of. So let me set you up over here and let you see that. Alright, these are pretty easy to work with. If you're new to my channel, you know I film alone. So setting up the camera and all that is always fun. The bolt on the front here, this is a 10 millimeter. It goes through this little bracket on the front. And this one is a 1/2 inch. It goes right on the top here. And on this model, I don't want to say old school, I believe they still make these mowers. This is just a really small motor. Very basic, very easy. And we're going to take this bolt out, right out of the top. And then the whole tank will come off the manifold, and right here on top, you should have a little Z bend. That's it. All your springs and everything will stay together exactly where they are. The Z bend goes right into the top of the carburetor right there. And I'm going to drain this of fuel just because the fuel's been sitting, and in Florida we get a lot of moisture in the air, condensation that gets inside of the tank. But in order to pull this apart, all I have to do is find my Phillips head. And there are 5 screws that hold this carburetor, this little plastic carburetor, to the top of this tank. There's an O-ring on the manifold. When you pull it off, the carburetor goes onto the manifold. There's an O-ring on that. So just make sure that O-ring stays in place. I'm going to take out these 5 screws. They're Phillips. And those of you that watch my channel on the regular know that I moved recently. I left my last residence where I had a shop to work. And I have not found a new shop yet. So yes, I'm working in the backyard. But since you're working on small machines, you can pretty much work anywhere. So I'm just going to take out these 5 screws. If you have to, you can take off that rubber elbow so that you can get to all the screws. When you're taking these out, they should be pretty easy to get out. When you put them back in, don't over tighten them, because you don't want to strip them out. Because what you'd be stripping out on this style is the actual gas tank, and you don't want to do that. So just make sure they're all loose, and then break it free from the tank itself. And you'll see here there's a pickup tube right here, and the pickup tube has a mushroom on the bottom of it. So it goes into that hole, go in at an angle, put it in, and then straighten it up. So when you pull it out, come at an angle, pull it straight back up, and you're good to go. And what we're actually, don't forget, you've got a spring right here. It goes right here. If you need to see that closer, it goes right there. It's just a regular spring, nothing special about it. There's no one end that goes on and the other end. Don't lose that. Make sure you put it back in the right spot. On here is a screen. This is a pickup screen. Make sure you spray that out with carb spray. Spray up in here. Spray this. This has a little filter in the bottom of it. Spray that out. Spray everything off. Clean it off. There's fuel in this little tray right here. Don't worry about that. Just dump it out when you dump out the fuel. Basically, I'm just going to spray all this down with some carb spray, and what we're replacing are these gaskets right here. This is rotary part number 22-7721. It comes with a plastic or a sort of a rubber gasket which goes against the tank, and it also goes with a cardboard gasket, and that goes on top of the rubber. So you got your tank, then you got your rubber one, then you got your cardboard one, then you have your carburetor. And these are actually your diaphragms. And what happens is they get dirty. I mean, the inside of this carb is filthy. I'm getting crap all over my fingers from everywhere. And that's what happened. This diaphragm has dried out. It's all sunk in, and the diaphragm has gone bad. So I'm going to go ahead and spray all this off. I'm going to clean up this surface a little bit, and I'll bring you back in a minute. Alright, so all I've done now was dump out the fuel from the tank. I took a little bit of sandpaper to the top of the tank itself and blew all that crap out of there. Make sure there's no dust or anything in there. That's all you have to do with the tank. On the carburetor itself, like I said, take off your screen, make sure there's no gunk or anything. This screen looks good and clean. I'm going to spray just a little bit right here to make sure that we're good. I'm going to spray this off. Make sure that it's clean. If you're working outside like me, don't lose your screws. I'm going to wipe this off just a little bit. Do not take sandpaper to your carburetor. It's plastic. You'll gouge it. If you take sandpaper to it, you could make it not smooth. Now, if it's already not smooth, these plastic carburetors can warp if you don't get a good seal. Then you could try and take it and put it on something flat and try to sand it if you think you can fix it, because these carburetors aren't cheap to replace. But normally what we end up doing if they don't seal correctly is just put 2 sets of gaskets in there, 2 of the cardboard gaskets. But that doesn't usually happen. Now just make sure that your end of your spray tube is clean and clear. I'm going to put my spring back on in its proper place, which is right there. I'm going to put my little screen back on here, and it's just that simple to clean out these little carburetors. Now when you go and open your gaskets, make sure you don't tear your gaskets. It comes in 2 parts, the diaphragm side and the cardboard side. The diaphragm side goes down against the machine pretty easy. Because of its shape, there's only one way it can go. It's got a point at the top and a flat bottom. So there's only one way it could possibly go on there. So just put it on there, flip it around. You don't need any gasket sealer. You don't need anything like that. I can put this one right on there. Why am I having trouble with this? I am not awake, boys and girls. I've had a tough couple of days and I am simply not awake. And then you can feed that back through just like before. There's only one way for the carburetor to go on as well. Make sure your gasket's in place, tighten your screws down, and you're done. Tighten them down hand tight. Not even hand tight, just so they start to snug up. Go in a star pattern. I just go until they pretty much come to a stop with no pressure at all. I crisscross when I'm putting them down to make sure that I don't bend the plastic carburetor or make it bind in any way. And then I just go back and give it a little bit, about a quarter of a turn, to make sure that they're tight. Don't strip them out. Don't torque them down so much that you break the plastic. You're going with a steel screw into an aluminum tank, and in between that is a plastic base. So that's it. There's your plastic O-ring. You can replace that if you want to. There's also a clip on this one. So I'm cleaning off my clip. I just dropped my O-ring. Where did I put it? You saw it. Where did it fall, guys? Let me stop the camera and find my O-ring. That's right there in front of me. Dumbass. All right. Now you can leave that right on the intake if you want. I'm just going to put that in, O-ring first. Then the clip goes in and you'll hear it snap in place. It's no big deal. When you want to put this back on, you put your little Z-bend back in your carburetor, just like so. Feed your tank back on. Don't forget your little elbow. That's your rebreather. Any extra fuel that doesn't get burned gets pushed back. Make sure that stuff is on and in place. Put your front bolt back on. Put your back bolt back on. This is a great design. Most people don't like the plastic carburetors. I like them. This is my second favorite carburetor design. My first being the black carburetors, the plastic ones that break in half for ease of cleaning. Just give it a little bit of snug. It's got an O-ring in there, so it doesn't take much pressure to make everything seal. That's it, we're clean. We got our new gaskets in. I'm gonna move this stuff to the side. I'm gonna reset the camera. I'm gonna dump some fuel in here. And she should start right up, no problem. Let's find out together. All right, so I put some fuel in it. The primer bulb was loose, but in good shape. So I pulled the primer bulb off here in the front and cleaned it and put it back. Let's make sure she's gonna start and run. And there you go. So I hope that helps. The customer was not sure whether they should get rid of this machine or fix it or whatever. So we rebuilt the carburetor and she's ready to rock for a little while longer. And we will have to see, there's a little bit of oil coming out around the spark plug, so I'm gonna have to check that. But other than that, I hope this video helped. Hit the like button, it's somewhere between my chin and my balls, and we'll see you on the next one.